Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. The name's Birjees, and usually I paint in using the Hussain brush, but I'm going to do a little bit of a departure today and I show you how I paint rocks. And I'm going to try and use 4 different methods. So let's get started, shall we? Now what I'm going to be using is my 3/4 inch flat, a number 12 flat, and a usual pencil, maybe a sort of sponge maybe, and this is some table salt. So and maybe I've got a spray bottle here, and it's it has water in it, of course, and what I'm going to do is maybe try and use some spray techniques so to try and get some backgrounds for rocks. I'm going to try and use 4 different methods that I can think of off the top of my head. So let's get started. I'm going to start off in the top left corner here, doing a rough sketch of some rocks here, and they can be any shape that you like because rocks are different shapes. Right, now we're going to use I'm going to start off using the salt technique because the salt needs time to dry, and so once I put the salt on there, I'm going to come back. Now the colors I'll be using, I have a limited palette here, so I'll be using raw umber, black, and ultramarine blue, and some Prussian blue, simply because that's all I've got with me at the moment. So let's just get started. I'm going to start off, and yellow ochre. I'm going to definitely put yellow ochre on there. So let's put some yellow ochre down. It has to be fairly sort of a wet mixture, because what you want to do is be able to do some scraping, not scraping, sorry, put the salt in, and hopefully the salt will create some texture. That's our first layer. Then on top, I'm going to put in some raw umber. A bit more in there. Raw umber. This raw umber is from the camel painting range, and it looks like a darker version of the yellow ochre, don't you think? Put a bit more on there like that. This is a sort of an experiment I'm doing to see how it sort of comes out. It might go wrong, who knows, but it's all a question of process of learning. And on top of that, I'm going to put some Prussian blue, simply because I like Prussian blue, that's the only reason. And now I'm going to put a bit of some black on there as well, because I like black too. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but you can always sort of experiment. It looks a mess at the moment, doesn't it? I think so too. A bit more here, a bit more there, a bit more here, a little bit here, a little bit there. A bit of splattering. And now we're just going to put a bit of salt. I don't want to put too much in all of it. And now we're going to let that dry and not touch it until the whole painting, the whole area has dried out. Let's just go in and zoom in on that for a bit. You can have a look. Now let's move on to the right hand side. Now this side, what I'm going to do is just use the simple scraping technique, and for this I'm going to use my number flat brush. And firstly I'm going to put down yellow ochre. Now for the scraping technique, you need to make sure that your paint is not too runny or too tacky. If it's too runny, what will happen is that when you go to scrape it, it'll scrape, but the paint will run back on itself. And if it's too tacky, you'll find that the paint may not shift. Let me turn the light off. That light is giving a glare. Okay, so let's just carry on putting a bit more here, a bit more there. And on top of that, I'm going to put some raw umber, the same colors. I'm putting in the same colors. This paper is not a very well-known make. It's I'll actually show you what the paper is at another time maybe. So okay, we've got the area here like that. Let's put a bit more in like this, and now we're going to add a little bit of let's just add this is ultramarine blue on top of that. And now we're going to take our scraper. Now it's usually a timing thing here, so you've got to see if the timing is right to start scraping. So let's just scrape from side to side here like that. You can go the other way as well, and this way, and that way. When you scrape rocks, try not to make them even, all the same size. Just some are larger, some are smaller, like that. And you can put it on the top here as well, and this bit here, and that bit there. And then we can go in when the shadows are already there, so we can just go in with I don't know, a little bit of a bit of a color here for the grass. The grass is here. Let's do. And there's your here. And now we can add. I've got some leftover paint here from another painting session, so I can use that. I never wash out my palette, simply because you never know what paints you might need, and it's waste really. And we can do some splattering here as well, I suppose. But try anyway. What can we use? We can use a bit of raw umber. And let's add a little bit of black to that, to make it a bit darker. And then we can just a little bit of splattering here, like that. Do a bit more actually. The other hand is better. Okay, so we can just shift that along here and that along there, and here we are. We can sort of do that as well and make it look like there's grass growing in between, like this. And there we are. There we have our little, I don't know, something. Put that along there as well. Now that is still not quite dry, I think. I'm going to leave it and then go back in and add do some texture work. The next one I'm going to use is, I'm going to try this technique. Now it may not work. Who knows? What I'm going to do is do another sort of a drawing here of a rock. that. Now this one, I was going to use the lifting technique. Sorry, I was thinking way 10 steps ahead. For this one, I'm going to use the lifting technique, and I'm going to use this brush. Now, I'm not sure how good the paper is to be able to take this kind of technique. So what I'm going to do is, using a round brush, just a round brush, what I'm going to do is paint the base with yellow ochre, adding in some mixes of various other colors. I don't really mind what they are. It's just that we're trying to show that rocks can be different shapes, different sizes, even different colors, depending on the location that they're in. Just take some of that and put it along here like that. The lines were just, the line drawing was just a sort of a guide, and you'll notice that I'm sort of going outside the line. That's okay, don't mind doing that. And, see, now I'm painting. This is Dubai, and I'm not at home, because seriously, I don't actually have a painting space. So when I came down here, this is what the reason I'm telling you this is because I want to explain why I'm using the colors I'm using. I came down here hoping to get a nice tutorial done on painting rocks and things, and I picked up the Camlin box of my watercolors, it's just not a bad box. It's a good set of paints. They're a good set of paints. So I thought, right, great, I'm going to use this today. And I took it out after a long time, and when I got here, I realized that two colors that I really like are actually missing. Well, missing in the sense that I'd used them up, and I didn't open it to check what the color card said. And I noticed that when I got here that, it's not here. So that was a bit of a bummer. Okay, now the lifting process is just basically just lifting like that. We're trying to create sort of highlights here. And I'm going to switch to my stiffer brush here like that. That gives a better sort of effect. Here it is, like this. So we just want to lift some color. And what I'm doing is I'm wiping. I'm lifting, washing, and wiping. Lifting, washing, and wiping. Just to get some highlights in there. And now what I'm going to do is take the same burnt umber and the black mixture and just drop it in places like the bottoms here, in between there, in between here, just a bit there, just to create some form and shadow. Maybe here, because under here like that. What I'm going to also do is a little bit of splattering, with the brush, just to create a little bit of texture. I don't mind it getting into the rest of the paper because it's all rocks anyway. So there we go. And what I'm going to do is light wash under the rocks here like that, so it looks like they're sitting on something. And just a bit more lifting there, and maybe a bit more here, and a little bit there, maybe a little bit here, there, just to change it up a bit. can put some extra color back in places. You just use darks and lights. That's basically it. Some of that dark is gone, so I'm going to put that back in here, like that. Put that back in there. It may go again, so I'll put it again. And there we go. There's our third rock from the sun. Shouldn't make movie references, it might get me copyright strikes. Okay, the last one, I'm going to try this. Now it may not work because what I'm going to use is some alcohol spray. Now I've got that here, and it's just a Cornell's, it's just an alcohol spray like this. So let's have a go and try it and see what happens with that. So again, what I'm going to do is just make a round sort of basic rock shape, just one rock, maybe sitting on top of something or other, I don't know, like that, like this, maybe a bit like that. And what I'm going to do is add some color to that. Now let's start with yellow ochre. Put that in there like that, and we're going to proceed to just put colors in, whatever colors we please. This is ultramarine blue, just haphazardly here. Let's put a bit more yellow ochre in there just to darken things up a bit. Let's add some raw umber to that mix. Go in with some darker colors here. Let's add a bit more blue to that in areas. And you know what? I'm going to add some green to that because rocks can be green, with a bit of lichen and things stuck to them. Now, I don't know whether this is going to work. It's rather, it's an experimental thing. So I'm gonna hold this up high and just spray it on there and see what happens. There. Now you see something's happening to that. Let's just zoom in. So this is what's happening to it. I mean, you can see speckles are starting to form, and whilst that's happening, I went all over the place there. Okay. Yeah, let it dry, and I hope that we'll be able to get some texture. Shall we go back to the other one? I think the one with the salt is actually drying off nicely. Let's move the camera this way so you can see it here. And yeah, it has dried, and I rubbed off the salt, and you can see it's all sort of mottled, and that's what we were really after. So what I'm now going to do is just now go in with some extra texture and coloring to just give it some sort of depth. So I'm just making a mixture up of whatever I've got here, and what I'm going to do is just add it in various places, just to even do a little bit of lifting, so just to give it some highlights. So we go in with our flat brush again and just try and do some shifting of the paint in places like that. You don't want to do too much, just a little bit of highlight. And finally we can finish off by adding some shadow underneath the rocks, just to give them place to stand, or sit rather, so they're not sort of in midair. And there we are, rocks. 4 types of rocks. So we've got, I'm going to take the camera off the tripod and just go in a little bit closer for you without the tripod. It's getting sort of in the way. Okay, so we've got this one, which is, let's just go back a little bit, zoom out a little bit here like that. Okay, so this one was done using salt as our technique, and you have to wait for the salt to completely, the paper to completely dry before you can actually do anything, otherwise you're going to have a complete mess on your hands. The second one was a scraping technique where I laid down the washes and making sure that they were tacky enough to shift. Don't forget, if it's too watery, it's not going to shift. Well, it will shift, but the water will run back on itself. And if it's too tacky, it may not shift at all. So you've got to, it's a process of trial and error, really. When I started painting rocks like this, they were either too watery or too tacky. But with practice, you start to learn what kind of texture the paint ought to be. The next one was, let's go here, was this one where we just laid down washes and then decided to do some lifting out color using a brush. And this was, I think, fairly easy to do because you can just put down whatever colors you like for rocks. I mean, obviously there are certain colors you can't use, but things like burnt umber, raw sienna, ultramarine blue, black, they can all go in and give you the rock coloration that you need. And then with a brush, a damp brush, you just lift off the color. And the last one is this one where we used a little bit of just a little alcohol spray, and this is the result we get. And while we're here, we might as well add a bit more extra sort of extra texture to it, just a little bit. I'm holding it and filming at the same time now, so that's a bit of a feat I've got here going. Should be getting more subscribers for having this kind of ability to be able to paint and hold the phone at the same time. I want to put a bit on that one, on this side here, on that here, and there, and just a wash of shadow underneath. So, I'm doing a Charles Evans here. He does this sometimes, or he used to anyway. I don't know whether he still does, holding it at the same time while he's doing his painting. I think he did that during COVID, actually. Oops, sorry about that. I think he did that during COVID. There we are. And we can just, there. So there we are with our four different ways of painting rocks. I do hope you enjoyed that crazy session. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoyed this video and gave you some entertainment and value, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you very much for watching.